my dad.
Okay.
I suppose it's full of dust.
Granny.
This is my mom and dad right here.
Okay. And who's your mom and dad? What's her name?
My mother was Nora Greeley.
Okay.
She was from Big Coulee.
Okay.
And my dad, of course, we were from Veblen.
Mm-hmm. And what
Okay.
was his name?
James
James
Wanna.
Wanna. Okay.
Oh, that's my mother.
This one's your
This
mom?
is my mother,
Okay.
Nora Greeley.
Nora Greeley. Wow, pretty. Pretty woman.
She grew up in Big Coulee.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And these are your... This is your...
This is all my children. This is Ione, you know her.
Mm-hmm.
This is my sister,
Mayvonne.
Mrs. Labatt,
Yeah.
yes. We grew up in Veblen, and we had a big farm.
Mhm.
We had everything. We worked hard. I always said my dad worked us hard.
Hmm.
That time it was all horses,
Mhm.
you know, and we had all kinds of animals that grew on a farm.
Mhm.
There was 3 big farms up in Veblen, and we were one of them. Mama had chickens, ducks, and geese, turkeys, everything. We had to, when they had chickens, the little ones, we had to feed them too.
Mhm.
Very strict. Our dad told us the right and wrong, and which I always thought I was teaching my children what's right
Mhm.
and what's wrong. And so that's the way they grew up. And they, in turn, I said, you tell your children, grandchildren, what's right and what's wrong. And what isn't yours isn't, you don't take.
Mhm.
So that was one of the things that we really believed in. But I don't know. But I would say, he worked us hard. I worked hard too.
Oh,
I had to do all the work that, that goes with a family
Mhm.
on a farm. And Mamie, she was
What did you study in the boarding schools?
English. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't talk English.
Mhm.
Nothing. So we started. You really had to pay attention to what was going on if you wanted to survive.
Mhm. So, did you teach your kids Dakota or no?
No, I never did. I really never did. Of course, we talked at home. We talked. Sometimes I talked to them. They understood, but they never talked it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, I'm sorry that my children don't talk Indian. None of them. But they know.
They understand though.
Yeah.
But
Oh
they
yeah.
don't speak it. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of true with our generation.
Yeah.
We understand some of it, but we just never bothered to learn it. I'm not sure the reasons for it, but maybe because English was made to be so important,
Yeah.
that our parents didn't think we should know it. I don't know. But
Yeah. That's good.
you like to speak Dakota?
Oh yes. You can say a lot of things in Indian that really means something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Some.
I I didn't hear that. You know.
Maybe tell us a story in Dakota so he can record it.
Oh my.
Or just say something, you know. That's all.
Oh, you mean in my language?
Yes.
Oh. Denataku dokado acha hipche. Okay.
And what did that mean?
Takus dodiapi chimp hachi de shito me ktama hipi. Misha. As de ota Dakota I api. Kawana mpisha Dakota ekta wichoi ota unkaktu shapi. Forgetting a lot of our ways, a lot of our, traditional ways.
And her dad, your father, Elma, what was your father's name, his Indian name, and when was he born and what year?
Did your father have an Indian name? And when was he born?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
But he was in his 90s when he died, and Mama too. So I suppose that's where I get
your age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have inherited some genes that, whatever they call it, yeah.
In what year did your father pass?
When did your father die? You
Mine
don't
too,
remember?
I don't know.
Okay, that's okay.
It's written somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and Mama too. But I know, we pack them things away, and sometimes even now, I go through my things and read what went on,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like crying.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad when you get old because so many people, you're almost like the only one left,
Yes,
and then,
that's for sure. When Mrs. Labatt died, I'd want to know something, and here she wasn't there.
yeah.
I couldn't talk to her. And then, of course, Vivian, she was my sister-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
and she was good. We used to talk Indian.
Mm-hmm.
When we got together, that's how we were. We just all talked Indian. But when she left, it seemed like there was nobody for me to talk to anymore. Yeah.
I mean, but people to talk to, but nobody knew what you were talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Mom and Dad, were they born here in Sisseton, or were they born in Minnesota, or any?
They were born, there was no reservation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because Papa used to talk about when he was a little boy in Minnesota.
Okay.
So I imagine that's the way they were in Minnesota.
Did remember this? They have this hanging of these 38 that's going on right now, the memorial.
And he used to mention that.
Did he?
Yes.
What did he say?
I think he was a little boy then,
Okay.
because he mentioned names.
Mm-hmm.
That
Indian
were-
names.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't remember, but it seemed like it was 3 names that he always said they sent them. Did they go on a boat into Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
Down.
Don't
Yeah.
remember, yeah.
He remembers that. And I guess whoever his people were waited for him, but they never came back.
Mom, did she talk about anything like that?
No,
No.
Mama went to school in old agency, TPZina they call
Yeah,
it. Did
yeah.
you ever hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to school there. On the west side, there was a school there, And on the south side of the road, there was another school.
Okay.
And Papa went to school in one.
Over there in Goodwill, right? Somewhere
Yeah.
over there? Yeah. Okay.
He went to school. He always said he went to school in his moccasins. Yeah. And when he got there, well, they gave everybody shoes.
Oh.
Alma, you are Sisseton Wahpeton also?
Yeah, she's Sisseton Wahpeton, right?
Who?
You.
Yeah.
Both parents here?
Mhm.
Okay. So it goes all the way back to Minnesota, before the war, and before there was reservations.
Mm-hmm. Her parents, yeah.
Her parents, right. So your parents were actually born in their own country, in their own land, under no authority.
Your parents were born in Minnesota, where before reservations and all of that.
Yeah, I guess so, because he used to talk about all the lakes.
Yeah.
Did your father ever mention anything about any of the chiefs, such as Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull, any of the battles?
He's mentioned things, but I don't remember. But he used to say something about them,
Mm-hmm.
the chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Born in Minnesota, where before reservations and all of that.
Yeah, I guess so, because he used to talk about all the lakes.
Yeah.
He was a little boy, and somebody always carried him on their back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he always said.
So they would also live then. That means they lived also in their own little villages with their teepees also.
Did he say they lived in teepees or hogans or what?
Camp.
They
They
just-
carried camps.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure
Yeah.
Okay.
because they're portable, you can move them. So that's
Right.
why you lived in teepees, because you can pack them up and move them.
And they hunted the buffalo, right? You're
No, what did they eat? Did he say?
Never. That was never. I never heard nothing.
Yeah. They
But
probably.
I know they went fishing.
Yeah, fishing was a.
And they
big
went
thing.
hunting.
Mm-hmm. Deer, probably.
And he talked about his grandpa. His grandpa. They were hunting. They were all crawling along along the shore.
Okay.
He said the tall grass,
Mhm.
and so they were crawling with their guns, and here somebody's gun went off in the back, and it shot my Papa's father, and shot his leg off right here. So he said they had to break camp, and they moved, and he died. He always said he died after 6 months.
After you was shot.
He went according to we. That was the sun or the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, 6
Yeah.
wees or
Yeah.
Okay.
he died here and
Mm.
was buried in Minnesota somewhere.
Wees, she's saying it's moons, so not 6 months, but 6 moons. Her father lived after he was shot. Then he died.
now when she was talking about the people that went down the river, the 3 names that her father had mentioned, are they relatives of hers that went down the river?
I don't think they were relatives, but
They were friends.
he knew the
He
family.
just knew them.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you know anything about Prohibition? You were too young then, though, right? Because it was like when they.
Prohibition.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell liquor or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
How did the Indians drink then? Do you know?
they made their own.
They made their own.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what they made it of?
I don't know. It seemed like it was corn.
Okay.
In 1926, you were during Prohibition, National Prohibition, at the time. So let's see. Do you remember, as a young girl, remembering Al Capone, Babyface
Do you
Nelson?
remember any of the gangsters like Al Capone?
Oh, there is a place up here along Peaver Farm, they used to call it.
Okay.
Did you ever hear that?
No.
Peaver Farm, they called it. And there used to be somebody always, there was a place there. They built, I don't know if it's one or more houses, but somebody used to come and they would live there. And he used to say that they were hiding.
Oh, okay.
But I never really heard. I never really paid attention. But he said they would come and live there for a while, and then they would be gone.
So they had hiding places over here.
Now that's interesting that she says that, because I know from historical records and stuff that I've read. Do you recall this would have occurred when you were you were born 1916? You would have been at this time 18 years old. Do you recall when John Dillinger and Babyface Nelson robbed the bank in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, right here in South Dakota? You would have been 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was news
Okay.
then, you know. Oh, I can't remember. We had one of the first radios when we were growing up.
Okay.
Papa, I don't know where, but he bought a radio, and he used batteries for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And that's how we got our news.
Mhm. And you heard that on the news?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
and they turned the radio on only at a certain time, and that way we heard news.
That would match up with what she's saying about Peaver, because you know what? From what I heard, they hid out over here a lot. A lot of the gangsters, they had hiding places, and they were out here too, in Indian country. So plus, there's also some gangsters that I heard that were also natives. They were natives themselves. Some of them.
Indian gangsters?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure there were Indian
Well,
gangsters.
do you remember John Dillinger's girlfriend, who was a
Yes,
Menominee?
her name was Lillian Frechette.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go,
Frechette.
Yeah, and Elvina and Blanche. You remember them?
Yeah.
Blanche. Elvina. Somebody went to school with that girl in Flandreau.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. She
So
went to school in Flandreau.
So she was Indian.
So that was big. That you guys knew about this stuff too, right?
Well,
The
she
people-
heard of it.
Right, you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that was in your time. You were a teenager at that
Well,
time.
she said they had a radio, one of
Wow.
the first radios,
Yeah.
and she heard
The
all
radio
that.
that run by battery.
Yeah. Great big battery in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was before there was only radios, no TV, right?
Oh, golly, yeah.
No Flash Gordon on TV. You had to
Yeah.
listen to it on the radio, right? Your programs,
Yeah.
The Dark Shadow.
Uh-huh.
Have a big imagination listening to the radio, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to see. You just gotta imagine it in your head when
Yeah.
you listen to the
Do
radio.
I
you
remember they went to a movie in Chicago. They went to a movie in Chicago. They were coming out, going toward their car, and here they shot him.
Oh, okay. Do you remember that?
And
Yeah, she's speaking. I remember from my research. Yeah, she's in the it was called the Biograph Theater on Lincoln Avenue.
Yeah.
She was.
It's a biograph theater in Chicago. where they
Oh,
were
He
shot.
was set up. He was set up by a madam. They called it a lady in red. Do you remember that?
Lady
Where
in
she
the
set
Red.
him up.
Set 'em up. The lady in red set him
oh
up.
yes,
Yeah.
the lady in red. Yes.
Anna Sage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she remembers those things. This lady
Yeah,
here.
and now the native girl. What was her name? You said again? Billy Frechette.
Billy Frechette.
That was her nickname, Billy. But
That's what they
she
called
did
her.
a
Yeah,
year.
her name
She was
was
arrested, right? She was
Frechette.
arrested.
Huh?
She was arrested and did a year in prison because
She
she
went
was
to
with.
prison for a year for that.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, where was she
I
from?
think-
Do you remember?
I don't know, but she went to school in Pierre.
Okay. Flandreau.
Flandreau.
But Flandreau had all the reservations
Oh,
in it,
yeah.
so she could have been from anywhere. Because the Flandreau was an Indian school that all the reservations in Montana, North Dakota, even Wisconsin, the kids all went to school there.
Mm-hmm.
So she could have been from anywhere. But she was native. Anyway, we know
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody should do research on all.
Well, he might have to.
Yeah.
Encourage
Yes,
him
I'm
to-
very interested in all of
That
this right
would
here.
be interesting.
Mhm. Well,
that could tell me how old I was when some of these things happened.
yes. Well, we'll have to make him do that, so then when he comes back, he can tell you how old you were and what was going on during that time.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Oh my.
Well, you have to stick around then. You have to stick around. You can't go. You can't leave us. When do you think you guys will be
God
back?
willing.
As soon as possible. I'm